Okay, hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream today. Today I have someone very special with me. And so, without further ado, here we have the man of the hour, the star of our show. We have a one Mattinator,
How do
Macabre
you
Matt.
like my shirt? I've been waiting for months. Your mom bought it for me. He's
It's
unsociable and wears masks in public.
yep,
It's
since 1978.
Michael Myers, who I have learned a lot about since the last live stream, having
Mhm.
watched the original and the newest trilogy. Happy Halloween and thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Yeah. So, a little bit of context, a little bit of history before we get into things. My dad has now seen the original movie. This was his first rewatch of it. He has seen the original sequel from 1981, which we talked about last year. This year, we were getting all into David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. So, unfortunately, my dad has not seen the entirety of the franchise, but I think there is more than enough to discuss with David Gordon Green's trilogy. Just bear in mind, not to spoil anything from the rest of the franchise to my dad. Just try to stay away from that because we won't really be able to compare.
Yeah.
But still a lot to talk about with the new trilogy. And that being said, there will be a lot of spoilers today of the new trilogy. So I can't imagine anyone here hasn't seen it, but just in case, now you know, it might be spoiled. So let's see who's here. Tim, hello. King of the Dead made it. Abby in Films. I'm good. How are you today, Dad?
Doing great. Doing great. It's rainy here today, but besides that, I'm always happy to be with Haunted Hippie in the Cold.
Yes, welcome cult members to our meeting about this most sacred of franchises. Maggots Unite, yes. um Gory Tiger made it. Hello. Oh, Ryan made it. Evil Dies Tonight. Hope
Hey,
you're doing well. David made it. I hope everyone's doing great. Um Having fun. Good stuff, Bob. How you been doing? Been doing well. This is a real crunch time. This is a really intense part of the month for me. I've got a lot of content to pump out to you guys in the coming weeks here. So, cool shirt. Gory Tiger likes the shirt.
thank you, Gory Tiger.
Yes. Hello, maggots and unholy rulers. Pleased to see you. Pleased to see you too. Great shirt. Oh, hey, Rock fan made it. Such a good shirt. Hello. I thank you. Matt, really wish I could watch a movie with you. It's pretty entertaining. If you were here for the Saw live stream, I pulled up some video clips when I was sitting next to him on the couch, and I recorded some of his reactions. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. Um, Halloween 2018 is my favorite Halloween movie because it's my first Halloween movie I saw in theaters. Oh, me too, because that came out in 2018. The goats are here. Dad, do you know what goat means in as far as like Gen Z slang?
Greatest of all time.
Oh my gosh, you do know what it means. I guess, well, you watch basketball. Maybe that's
They use it a lot in sports.
yeah, okay, yeah. Popping up between yoga classes and costume changes. Very curious about Pop Hippie's thoughts on ends because we know my feelings. True. Well, good to see you pop in. Hopefully, you'll be here when we talk about that because I think that we're gonna be talking about the movies in order. So yeah, I think the crowd is waiting with bated breath to hear your thoughts on Halloween Ends. I know I am because if you guys don't know, my dad and I don't talk about these movies before we get on the live stream. This is our or my dad's first reaction essentially for all of us. So yeah, why don't we get into well, first of all, this is your first rewatch of the classic John Carpenter's Halloween. This year is a little different than last year. You've become more of a student of the genre. You found more appreciation for some of these classics. So, what was it like on the rewatch, the original John Carpenter's Halloween?
Well, like I said last week about The Exorcist, because I look at things differently now,
Hmm.
I had more enjoyment and I was looking for more in the movie,
Hmm.
more to get out of the movie, more to share possibly on this live stream
Right.
from my generation's point of view. And I enjoyed it more than I did the first time, which I think people would say a lot of times with rewatches, that's the case, which I'm just starting to get into rewatches. I
Mhm.
was reminded that Jamie Lee Curtis and I are exactly the same age. I knew we were close in age, but we're both 64 years old.
Mhm.
Although I have not made near the money that she has made
Well,
Halloween franchise alone.
yeah, that's
Toledo,
fair,
when I
probably.
watched this trilogy and I saw her in, can I say, all three of the trilogy, I'm
Mhm.
thinking, boy, she made some serious bank off this franchise.
Yeah, yeah, and it's what, turned her into a star, really, back then, too.
Yeah,
It was her jumping off point.
absolutely. Because
I
the opening of Halloween says introducing Jamie Lee Curtis. So,
Mhm.
um, things that I picked up on since you did the John Carpenter deep dive and the fact he liked to make his own music. And I really felt his kind of music in
Mhm.
Halloween.
Yeah, of
I
course.
knew that, not that I didn't know the main soundtrack of the movie, um, but I could hear it from a John Carpenter standpoint after I learned things from you when you did your deep dive. And
Right,
I think
yeah.
that it was a very well done movie. I'm going to imagine for pretty much on the cheap. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, no, they only had $300,000 to make the original Halloween. They spent half of that on their Panavision camera. So they spent
Oh wow!
$150,000 just on the camera. Yeah, they had nothing. I mean, they made it for nothing. Even back then, it's really low budget.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I was looking at your old Letterboxd review. So last year you reviewed it on Halloween actually. You said first time to see it, it was pretty scary and done well considering 1978 with a $300,000 budget. I must have told you this last year too on our stream. Only 3 stars though. Do you think that that would change now or is that about where you're still sitting?
Well, when I went to put it into Letterbox just as a marking it as a place, not rating it, I noticed that it automatically throws in how many stars you gave it last time.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know that I would necessarily change it.
Okay, so you're still in the same place. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. For me, yeah, it's kind of fluctuated a little bit, but for me, it's a 4.5 star. It's a really
Wow.
it's one of my favorites. Yeah, I mean, what can I say? Let's see. The dad's getting hip if he wasn't already. Yeah,
Thanks,
in
John.
terms of he knows more slang than I thought he did. I gotta give him that. Let's see. Yeah, same age. They're the same age. Let's see, wait. Oh, the tattoo date that the boyfriend in Halloween 2018 has is the exact same date I first saw the movie.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you were watching the 78 original and you stuck around to check out Halloween 40, which they call it. Feels like it was meant to be when I saw his tattoo with 10/31/2018. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Is Alamo Draft House still open, Ryan? Because I know that's a favorite spot in
Mhm.
Southern California to go see great movies. And I think it closed during COVID. I don't know if it's reopened.
Oh,
I'd be interested to find out if it has, Ryan.
damn, I want to go.
Yeah, you should go definitely. Maybe next time we're down there, we can go see a couple of things if it's
Yeah.
reopened.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Um, oh, hello. It's amazing how you both interact with horror. Wish my dads were this cool. I have a pretty cool dad. I do. Hello, Juan.
I haven't always been as open minded. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I've grown up a lot in the last 5 or 10 years, and I continue to grow up. I don't think anybody stops growing up if they work at it to change
Mhm.
and be flexible. So I don't want to take more credit than I deserve. But yeah, Kylie's helped me a lot with that. She's 9 years younger than her sister,
Mhm.
and my career was in a different position. So Kylie and I have done a lot of things together over time, and bonded over movies and genres within movies and all of that. So
Mhm.
that's helped me stay more up to date. And I want to
Yeah.
stay up to date. I don't want to be a boring old 64-year-old, 74-year-old, 84-year-old person. So,
Yeah, I think you're doing a bang up job at that, Dad. You're staying
thank you.
pretty hip. I think the people think you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
um, oh, have we seen Dark Star? Yes, I have. I've seen his entire filmography now. My dad has not seen that one though.
No.
Um, A question for Father Hippie. What do you think about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man? We haven't watched those in a long time, actually. Those are the Spider-Mans that were coming out in the early 2000s with Tobey
Tobey
Maguire.
Maguire. I
Yeah.
mean, all I can say of that is, at the time, I remember that I enjoyed the movies back then.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know they've evolved a lot since then with Andrew Garfield and now the
Mhm.
hottest young man on the planet. But
Yeah.
what's his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. But at the time, I enjoyed those Spider-Man movies with
Mhm.
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think they're still pretty good. We're due a rewatch though. Jamie Lee Curtis has had a lot of success in different genres. Yeah, I appreciate her loyalty to the Halloween franchise. I do too, but you know what's weird is when she was being interviewed for Halloween Ends and stuff, a lot of the interviewers obviously would ask, "Oh, do you like horror movies? Do you watch horror?" And she's so adamantly against horror. She's like, "No, I don't watch horror movies. You think I willingly subject myself to that kind of stuff?" But
Well, that's interesting.
I know, but she does seem to have like a reverence for Lori, at least for her character. I mean, she keeps coming back to her, but she also gets cut a really big paycheck, like you said.
I
So
know, but I gotta say, in my opinion, having watched up through Halloween Ends, she gives it her all.
yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, for being in her 60s, she also did a lot of her own stunts. I mean, she was getting banged up. She's a true movie star. She's kind of like Tom Cruise in that way.
I'm gonna
Um,
make a statement. I think she's the greatest final girl of all time.
wow. Okay. So yeah, because for a lot of people, it's between Laurie Strode and Sidney
I
Prescott from
figured that,
Scream.
but
Yeah. Okay. So you're Team Laurie then. Okay.
well, look, us 64-year-olds have to stick together.
That's true. Nev Campbell isn't up there yet. I think Nev Campbell's in her 50s, I
Yeah, no, I
think.
mean, you know that I love Nev Campbell in that role in Scream, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
started thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, she's a final girl. It was,
Yeah.
I think, in the middle movie, Halloween Kills of the trilogy, I
Hmm.
started realizing that, and then also that something was being set up for the future, which we'll talk about later in this stream.
Yes, yes, of course. Unfortunately for Desi, 78 is one of those films that I can see how great it is, but I burned myself out on it. I just watched it too much. Same with 4. Oh, it's a bummer. There's some movies that it doesn't really matter how many times I watch them. I mean, I still enjoy them. I think that's us with, Signs, Jurassic Park. A lot of
Sure.
movies, Back to the Future, just never get old. I feel like Halloween's kind of one of those for me. Um, oh, good question, Dad. I don't know if we're jumping the gun here, but so far of the 5 Halloween movies you've seen, do you have a favorite? This might be
Wow.
spoiling something.
Wow.
If this is gonna spoil, because I do want to
It's not going to
go.
spoil anything because I've already
Okay,
thought about this because
okay.
I'm learning as we go here with Matt's spoiler chats.
Mhm.
Uh, I I still think I like the original the best.
Okay, okay, cool. All right. So no
I
spoilers
didn't
yet.
know. I think the thing is, if you watch it from the perspective that you stepped into a movie theater in 1978, the year I graduated from high school, by the way, you don't know what's going to happen. If you hadn't watched any ads or trailers, I mean, what's happening? And from that standpoint, on a movie done on $300,000 with no movie stars,
Mhm.
they did a really good job.
They've done pretty well for themselves.
They have done pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Matt got a haircut, did you?
I did. Thank you for noticing.
Aw. I'm sorry that I didn't notice. I just because
I got rid of my priest haircut and went back to the more.
yeah, well, because I was gonna say because last time you just styled it differently. You'd kind of combed it
I
over,
went
right?
back to my summer haircut, even though fall has started.
Yeah. Oh, Tiago's here. Hey.
Hey,
Oh,
Tiago.
do we enjoy Brightburn? I haven't shown that one to my dad, I don't
No.
think. Do we
Mm-mm.
wa Yeah, we haven't. I haven't seen that in a long time. I remember not really enjoying it though. Yeah, it's wild she has so much disdain for horror, but Halloween catapulted her career. I know. I mean, it seems like at least she respects Halloween and she's very involved. I mean, she was an executive producer, on the news trilogy.
Yep.
The particular draft house I went to see the Halloween 2018 did close because of the pandemic, but we still have two nearby. Sad to see the third one go. Oh,
Um,
oh, George, you made it. What's up,
hey,
Papa Matt
George.
Mater and Colton? No worries. Matt and boring never belong in the same sentence. Right on.
Hey, that's
Right
one of the
on.
nicest things anybody's ever said about me.
Aw. Um, oh, say hi to your dad for me. I'm 68. Truly enjoy these Sundays, Kylie, with your dad, and your dad takes notes. Oh, you've started doing that too. Nice.
I figured that John and I were close in age when he
Yeah.
started joining these live streams. I could tell he was a fellow baby boomer. Thank you, John.
Yeah, it's fun. I feel like when you're here, we do get more of a range of ages, and it's fun. Yeah, Papa Hippie follows me on Letterboxd. I've peaked. Yeah, you guys can
Yes,
follow
he,
him on Letterboxd. Follow my dad on Letterboxd. He's got good reviews on there.
sometimes.
Um, let's see. Princess Kylie helped him. I think he means she corrupted him and fed his infection.
That's a
What?
good one.
Okay. Okay, good question while we're still on the original here. Do you think that Halloween is the most influential horror movie ever? I think so because no other movie ever pushed and expanded the genre like Michael did. Well, I mean, Dad, I feel like you probably would know this context because you were actually alive at that time, but Halloween was one of the first horror movies to bring horror to the suburbs where, the 50s
Yeah.
and 60s, it was all sci-fi. It was House on Haunted Hill horror took place in big mansions and whatever, stuff like that. Or it was Dracula, Wolfman, it was period pieces, whatever. Um, so yeah, I think I mean, it brought horror to the suburbs, and then in the 80s, it was all, horror came to the middle class essentially. So I could probably agree with that, though there were a few that came before. I mean, Texas Chainsaw Massacre does take place out in the boonies, and there's like Black Christmas that took place in a sorority house. I don't know.
Yeah, but
But,
what year did French or Saw, the one you just said, Chainsaw Massacre? What
oh,
year?
that one was 73, 74, 73 or 74. I think 74.
Well, what I would say in answer to that question is that Halloween made it possible to have a long running, big time, lots of fans, cultural relevance franchise horror film.
Yeah, I mean it probably did kick off the franchise craze.
I think so
I mean, it
because
was
didn't Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th come out within 10 years of those to start their franchises?
yeah, Friday the 13th was 1980, so kinda riding off the
Right.
coattails of Halloween, and then Nightmare on Elm Street was 84. And then, yeah, the first sequel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't come out until the 80s. So yeah, I mean, Halloween really was the first. I guess the only other argument for a different film you could probably make is, like, Psycho, which some people consider the first slasher, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, of course, that's an all-time classic. But for the genre that I believe we're talking about,
Mhm.
something that became so popular, part of the culture, to the point that I knew who Michael Myers was before I ever watched Halloween. I mean, Michael Myers has been around forever.
Mhm.
People that aren't even into horror, if you said, what's a horror character that you're aware of?
Oh,
You're
what?
funny. Oh, your mother's
Oh,
making fun of me.
she got home?
Oh, we had to argue about the word cult recently and didn't talk for 4 days.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What are you
Well,
talking about? Are you
maybe you guys will be interested in this. So I decided to go to the Taylor Swift film, which I said in the last live stream. I
Yes.
wanted to find out what it was all about. Didn't really know her songs, but because your cousins and your aunt went to it, and I talked to them afterwards, the actual concert in the
Mhm.
Bay Area, I just heard all these things, and I wanted to find out what it was all about. And if you follow my Letterbox reviews, I said as much. And
Mhm.
so then, since the concert and then these movies coming out, I kept hearing people say, there's a Taylor Swift cult. And I felt that they were using cult in a negative term. And
Oh.
because they were kind of just saying, yeah, that's a cult.
Mhm.
Your mom disagreed with me, and I went over my skis disagreeing, so it was on my bad. And then she was talking about, well, Kylie has a cult, and I said, well, yeah, but that's a horror film. It's a cult. So
So I use cult in the good way. Taylor Swift uses it in the bad way.
Well,
That's what
she
you're.
does. But she does. She. I don't know that she uses the word.
Well, no, 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 no. But I mean, she has a cult following. The people that follow her are obsessed. It's like a
Correct.
religion, basically.
Right.
Yeah. How
You
do
know,
you
and
get
I,
on
and I
that?
get that, and I understand that. And in my opinion, there's has not been anything like it probably since honestly Michael Jackson. In my opinion,
I was gonna say maybe Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson would be the closest thing to it. So anyway, that's what we were talking about. Cult. We were talking about Halloween. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so well known, and even though I never saw it until last year on a TV screen, um, it's just so well known, and people even know Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and so I think it was the ultimate starting classic of all time.
Okay. All right. So you think more so than Psycho? Um,
Well, yeah, but I think it's better than Psycho? No.
I'm not saying better. I'm just,
I,
just as far as influence, I think yeah, Halloween I think is more culturally influential. But
I think that Psycho was a great movie. I know they did more than one, but I haven't seen any of them. The
yeah,
original
neither.
Psycho to me is whatever in the pantheon of my 50 greatest movies maybe of all time, of
Mhm.
which honestly I'm not putting in the first Chainsaw Massacre, the first Halloween, the first Scream, the first 19 third
You
Friday
didn't
the
put the first
13th.
Scream? Ugh.
Well, I understand, but look, I'm a baby boomer, so
Yeah, okay.
last night I went. 2 nights ago, I just went and saw Killers of the Flower Moon, which is a 3 hour and 26 hour movie, which 26 minute movie, which I think is going to end up going down as one of the greatest movies of the 20th century.
Probably.
Um, Completely different than trying to put it. It's just two different pools, two different buckets.
Yeah,
I
okay.
love Scream. I mean, you guys brought me into Scream. I love that franchise.
Mhm.
Uh, I love Saw franchise now. I
Yeah.
even I even like Evil Dead, and now I like Halloween.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
I can't put them in the same thing with Psycho or the Birds. By the way, Kylie,
Sure.
the Birds is going to be a Fandango showing before Thanksgiving, so keep your eyes open.
Okay, I
I've never
will.
seen the Birds on the big screen, so I'm very
Yeah.
much looking forward to getting a chance to do that.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone wants to know your letterboxed. It is MJJ Chico. Real
Yeah,
simple.
so I don't get very opinionated on some of them, but you might just get a kick out of it since it's my only social media presence besides being part of the haunted hippie empire or empire to be, so to speak. And your
My
mom did
empire.
mention another cult that goes back to when I was in high school and cult following is Rocky Horror Picture Show, which
Okay.
when I first moved to Southern California and drove Sunset Boulevard with a bunch of my buddies when I was 19 years old, they were standing in line for Rocky Horror Picture Show. And 20 years later, they were still standing in line for Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I'm embarrassed to say now that I'm part of your channel, I
Mhm.
need to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. I feel out
Yeah.
of it because I never saw it.
Yeah, that's one that yeah, we'll cover that as part of this spoiler chat with Matt series 100%. Um I think I think Ryan made a good point here though cuz we're talking about TCM. It feels like a proto slasher whereas the original Halloween definitely set up the template that was just launched into franchises by the Friday the 13th movies. Both TCM and Halloween tried to catch up to the Friday the 13th movies and get sequels out to varying degrees of success. But we even love the odd movie out of Halloween 3 that's not even a slasher, but a good addition still. Oh, and my dad has not seen Halloween 3. I'm excited to show that one to him. So I'm really curious what he'll think. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's funny to me how Texas Chainsaw Massacre got so much controversy for its violent, yet movies like Bullet from '68 were far more violent. Oh, I haven't seen that one, but got a pass since it wasn't horror. That's so true. I mean, there's a lot of thrillers and stuff that are just so violent. I mean, take John Wick, for example. A lot of
Oh,
action
yeah.
movies. I mean, come on, and they have all this critical acclaim, but when it comes to horror, the violence is like, it's looked down on. But
Well, you know what's interesting about that, making a slight social commentary. So, horror films nowadays in the franchises that we've talked about and that you've covered on your channel, Haunted Hippie, over the last 3+ years. Guns aren't really used that much.
Mhm.
I don't think. But it's funny how in this place in time we are in the United States of America, how popular some of the movies are when they are using guns and rapid fire guns and all that kind of thing, like a John Wick. Just as an
Yeah.
example, we could go
Yeah.
on and on and on,
Mhm.
but they don't call that horror.
I know,
They
right?
call this horror. Now,
I know.
I will admit, as Kylie knows, I love the John Wick franchise.
Me too.
I love the irony of it and the touches that they made to it.
The world
So,
building, all that.
I'm a hypocrite, honestly, because of my political stances. I really probably shouldn't like a movie where they're shooting guns nonstop, but I do like John Wick. But if you think about it, it's kind of interesting that there's so many of those types of movies, many of which I see, but they're not called horror.
Yeah,
And
when John Wick is I mean, come on, the John Wick movies are slashers. Come on.
it's a slasher gun orgy.
Yes.
Well, I
There
mean,
you go.
really, of all the movies I've ever seen, I don't know, and it is, it's smiling at itself. That's not the right word, but
It's winking at the camera.
it's winking
Yeah.
at the
It's
camera.
self-aware.
That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But nobody would call it a horror movie. But
I
I
know.
would. In fact, I think I have done something on Letterbox about a movie this year that I said, well, this is really a horror movie. Oh, I know. It was The Creator.
Oh,
In my comments about The Creator on Letterbox, I mentioned, to me, this
yes.
is part horror movie, part sci-fi.
Yeah, because of the AI, because that's a
Yeah,
touchy thing. My dad does
right.
not like AI and all
No, I
that.
don't.
So, anyways, let's get back. We're kind of behind on the chat. It's a busy chat today. Thank you guys for being engaged. I think the Swifties cult are very passionate in a way it can swing into a negative space. They stalk her, harass people who speak negatively about her. Yeah, we're a peaceful, free thinking cult. That's the best thing I think about it. Joining the cult of Haunted Hippie is yeah, no one's no one's trying to sway you to think a certain way. We're all allowed to
Nope.
feel however we feel. Yeah, this is also true though. If Psycho wasn't made, we probably wouldn't have gotten Halloween. Yeah, I think that's true.
I wouldn't disagree with that. 123 Rock fan.
Yeah. We haven't. Yeah, there's a ton of bots in the chat today, so sorry about that. I'm having to like kind of filter through them. Yeah, so anyway, I think we should probably been live for almost a half hour now. We should probably finally start getting into the newer trilogy. So I am so curious now. I'll let you know. I mean, my first experience with Halloween 2018, it was the first Halloween movie I ever saw in theaters. And I loved it. I adored it at the time. It is one of the movies that in my college years was responsible for kind of propelling my love of horror and sort of starting my more fanatic tendencies with the genre. I would say another one was It from 2017. But yeah, I mean, Halloween was a huge one that got me into it, and I've still pretty much enjoyed it just as much every time on a rewatch. I'm a big fan of Halloween 2018. Dad, what was your first experience with the movie like?
I liked it.
Good.
I thought about. I've been thinking about, because you would ask me to rank the three of them, and
Uh,
I really liked this one. I'd like
mhm,
to see what Laurie's life was like afterwards,
mhm.
and the way they used it. I thought that it might have been the best acting performance by Jamie Lee Curtis
Mhm.
of the three movies.
I think I
I
would agree
can't,
with that.
I can't compare the original because she was 18 like me
She was
that year.
brand new, yeah.
That's pretty darn good for 18 years old. But anyway, yeah, that one I having no idea where these were going to go, which made it all the more fun because I had
Mhm.
no clue. That was my favorite of the three, and I like what they did with it.
Good. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna also like follow up and ask you how you felt about the character of Lori and that continuation and where we pick up with her. Because I know that some people feel she was done kind of dirty, whatever, because she's been through a lot and she
Right.
obviously has really horrendous PTSD and agoraphobia, whatever. So how did you feel about that? Her
Well, I
continuation.
I thought that I thought that they were being true to horror and true to the original and true to the reality of PTSD. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that it's the Laurie that I would have wanted to spend the most time with of the three Lauries of the three trilogies,
Hmm.
but after what she went through, I found what was happening in what do you call the 2018 one?
Just Halloween 2018, or you can call it Halloween 40 because
Okay,
40 years
Halloween
after.
2018. I know the names of the other two, but
Mhm.
I thought it was kind of realistic. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously that has to really mess her up. Obvious. I mean, that's an understatement, but
Yeah.
I could see her in that situation. The way the movie opens, the way they eventually get it to get in an audience with her, the podcasters, and I thought, yeah, I can believe this.
Yeah, I think the podcasters are kind of sorry, that derailed my train of thought a little bit because the podcasters are another kind of topic.
I thought they
But
were wasted. I wouldn't have put them in the movie.
yeah, I think but see, I'm a little bit torn. I was gonna say so, but I'm a little bit torn with them because I think it was a that was a really like the most natural sort of segue they could make to introduce new people to the franchise because obviously
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers like myself that went to see the movie that maybe didn't even see the original one. I mean, I
right.
did. I made sure I did before I went and saw it, but they catch everybody up and podcasts were really big in 2018 and true crime and whatever. So I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, yeah, I think it was a good device. They were a good device, but also, yeah, nothing burger characters,
I
pretty much.
did. I did like the opening that they were involved in.
Yeah. Oh, you like the opening with the uh mental uh prison?
The all white mental facility, just
Yeah.
the effect of the white
Yeah.
and introducing Dr.
Sartain.
Sartain.
Yeah.
So that scene I liked,
Uh-huh.
but then I don't know. But I guess it gave them more fodder. They had to have plenty of people to kill, so they had them so they could get killed right off the bat, I guess.
Yeah, I think also it gave Michael somebody to follow, so it also kind of naturally got us back to the graveyard, back to Judith Myers' tombstone. He, killed everyone at the gas station, took their car, whatever. So it was a good device, but
It was a good device, but the way that I think his name was Aaron, is
yeah,
kind of being in your face to Michael Myers. I'm putting myself in his place. I listen to a lot of podcasts, as you know.
yeah.
That kind of started for me in about 2018. So instead of listening to just sports radio or books on uh,
Tape.
DVD or whatever I'll call them books on tape. But anyway, so I listened to a lot of them, and honestly, I could see myself doing a podcast someday if I retired. So I'm not making fun of podcasters, but here he's just like getting in the face of Michael Myers
Yeah.
and then all these people that are starting to groan and make noises and sound. I thought that was a great scene.
Hmm.
I kind of was hoping they were going to kill Aaron.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that really. I wasn't expecting the podcasters to be much of characters, but then I realized that a lot of the audience would need catching up. But anyway, back to well, let me catch up with the chat because I haven't checked in with it in a little bit. Let's see. Oh, you watched The Exorcist because of our recommendation. Movie's awesome, nice. Only in the 70s can you in it with a 12-year-old girl at a negative 29 degrees Celsius room. What? Oh,
Yeah,
right, because
yeah.
there's a scene where it's really cold and their breath is coming out and stuff. Right. Oh my gosh. Um, Halloween 2018, when it was being Halloween, was great. Sartain and peanut butter on my penis make this movie weaker. Yeah, there's some weird comedy. I
Yeah.
was sure you would have made a note about that line, Dad. I don't know if you did. Did
I
you?
was kind of disgusted by that one.
It's so weird because I have quite a lot of reverence for the new characters, and we can talk about them, Karen and Allison, and bringing in the whole generational trauma thing. I felt
Right.
like that was actually handled really well. It wasn't as ugly as it could have been because I think in the original script they made it more of a point that Lori had become an alcoholic and she had thoughts of ending her life at times, and she even had like PTSD hallucinations and stuff like that. So I thought they could have made it uglier, though I did like how they handled it like generationally. And then there are some moments that are just so, I mean, I like having moments of comedy in a horror movie
Sure.
because I like going on the roller coaster ride.
I
You experience
agree.
something really heavy, they bring you back up, you crash back down. I enjoy that. Um that was just that was too stupid. I don't know. I don't actually Dad, how do you feel about having, like, jokes here and there? Do you like having comedy in a horror movie?
Oh, oh yeah, yes. I mean, especially in Scream and Halloween. I mean,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be as fun if they didn't interject some of this in it. So you can go on the emotional roller coaster of that was pretty funny. Oh, that just scared the heck out of me.
Mhm.
Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Oh, I'm going to laugh out loud. Oh, I'm scared again. So, yeah, I think because you want, obviously, you want to bring as many people in to want to watch the film.
Yeah.
And some people probably that helps them get through a horror film. I'm finding the more that people know what you're doing in your career right now, and that I'm part of it helping you at times. And I'm finding more and more that I forget how many people just won't watch horror movies.
Yeah, right? Um, we have more thoughts on the, PTSD and stuff. The obsession is compelling, but I feel like another version of H2O to me. Yeah, we yeah, my dad hasn't seen H2O, so we can't really compare it too much, but some people think that the PTSD in Halloween 20 was showcased in a much better fashion. Yeah, I mean, this isn't any type of spoiler for the movie, but in H2O, Lori, has not fortified her home, but she's on like an anxiety medication. She has
Sure.
nightmares and stuff. So a lot of
Mhm.
people prefer that version of Lori, but unfortunately, we can't really
Well, and
compare.
I can understand that there were
Mhm.
times during this where her obsessiveness and the state of mind she was in, at times I was kind of going, okay, okay, let's move on a little bit. Where in Halloween original,
Mhm.
I never felt that way.
Yeah, I think, well, because I mean, in the original Halloween, she's not broken yet. She's
No, no, I'm
still
just saying
there's
about the film itself.
Oh,
There
okay,
were
okay.
in all three of these movies, there are some times where I'm going, okay, let's move it on now.
Yeah.
We've had enough of this or that. I'm not talking about Laurie in particular, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously a huge part of the movie is Laurie's trauma from what she went through and how she's reacting to it now.
Yeah, this is a good point about that. Since 2018 is a direct sequel, I feel like her level of PTSD years later is a bit unrealistic. Level of PTSD would be at its worst a few years within the incident. And Father, you and I both go to therapy.
Yes,
She is someone that kind of refused the help, which is, it's caused the rift between her and her daughter and
right.
granddaughter that she's never helped herself really. So, and you're the exact same age as her. If you, to the best of your abilities, could put yourself in Lori's shoes, uh, yeah, I mean, do you feel like how realistic do you feel like that was? Her, level of mental illness, I guess, in Halloween 2018.
Well, today people are more open-minded to reach out and to get some type of counseling or
Mhm.
therapy, whatever you want to call it, maybe
Yeah.
even get some meds. And there's still a lot of old school people that just won't do anything, and I know some of them.
Yeah.
So she was in that stage of going either way. I'm sitting there thinking she needs to get a therapist. I could get her a number.
We have a
Because
really good one.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she was so messed up in so many ways. But yeah, and a lot of it was about paranoia itself,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought her specific thing was, paranoia.
Mhm.
I mean, if she's been living that way ever since it happened to her, or maybe she kind of got her act together in her early 20s and she obviously got, I think, I don't know, obviously, she had a child with somebody, and and had them until the Allison was 12.
Okay.
So I think my point, and I think what you're asking me is, I don't necessarily believe that PTSD or trauma gets easier as time goes on if you don't get any help.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, is it a bit hyper realistic? Yes, but it's also a movie. And also they didn't like I said, they didn't even take it as far as I think they could have to make
Oh,
it
right. Sure.
more real, to showcase more of her, like, substance abuse.
Okay.
I do think, like, the hallucination thing, maybe, that's a common symptom of PTSD, though I do think cinematic, uh as a cinematic thing, it's a little tacky. I feel like the hallucination jump scare thing, I'm not really on board with that. But let's see, Elise loves K-pop made a good point. 2018 did a great job of the paranoia of a victim. That's
Yeah.
which is like what you were saying. Even the Scream movies couldn't do that until the sixth movie with Sam. So I appreciated that of the 2018 one. Yeah. You thought it was realistic. Unfortunately, with how she was in Ends after her daughter died, 2018 made less sense. Yeah, that was one of my major complaints, which we'll talk about as we go through each movie. Her
Wait, let me
arc.
read that. Let me read that again.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
like
Okay.
their point is just that, I mean,
Yeah.
she experienced a lot more trauma on Halloween night in 2018. With the
No.
events of that and of kills, and then she's healed and fine and whatever. What was it, 4 years later? As opposed to in Halloween 2018, 40 years after her initial night, she's a much larger mess, and then by ends, she's lost her daughter, and has gone through a lot more. Yeah, so that was one of my complaints as well. Her arc is a little bit backwards, I think, in the trilogy. But what did you think of that?
Well, uh, uh, I say this all the time, but it's never too late to make changes in your life of all kinds.
Mhm,
The older I get, the more I learn it and the more I try to practice it.
mhm,
So I felt like she finally, maybe she got therapy. We don't know what happened. Maybe she got a couple of good brain meds and some therapy and realized, I need to move back into town and try to enjoy the rest of my life. And, I think it's possible. As you know, one of my very best friends and business partner lost his son 10 years ago at 19 years old. And, I've watched him deal with the PTSD of it, and he is stronger and actually become a role model for me when I would have never called him a role model in his whole life up until then.
mhm.
So I think it depends on the person. So I did not think it was completely unrealistic.
Oh, wow, okay. I never consider that, because sometimes going through something traumatic kind of forces yeah, it can, like, force people to get help for themselves where
Yeah,
maybe they weren't getting therapy at all before, go
correct.
through something traumatic, and then they end up growing in different ways they maybe wouldn't have before. So that's
It
actually
never
very
crossed my mind, honestly, watching all three of these movies, the general feeling that I thought that they were just dumb and unrealistic. I
yeah.
thought they made sense based on the franchise for a Halloween movie.
Yeah, I was in my first watch of Halloween Ends, I was thinking, how did we get here? Like, Laurie all of a sudden, whatever. But yeah, so I've had to have more of a think on it before I ended up there.
You can still make a decision at some point in your life that no matter how traumatic a thing that may have happened to you, and as example, losing a child like Lori
Mhm,
does, like my business partner did, you can still make a decision to pull your life up
mhm,
and find great reasons to do it. And I'm not talking from a religious perspective. Some people will have that, whatever. They can just say, you know what? I've got to get over this
Mhm.
because that person wouldn't want me to do that. And I only get this much time. And, I'm going to get over this. And I have a great uh, grandchild that I love very much. And I'm kind of enjoying being back in the town with the people. We got Frank there off to the side.
Yeah, Frank. Yeah. Oh, which we'll talk about him.
Yeah, I
But somebody asked, Matt, what is your favorite scene in 2018? Mine is the one shot of Michael walking through the different houses. I haven't even thought about my favorite scene.
I haven't thought about that. Boy.
And this is only my dad's first watch through also of the trilogy, so just bear that in mind. But now that you mention it, that might be my favorite one too. That's when Michael is walking around. He goes in the garage, he gets the hammer, he goes
Yeah.
in, you think he might kill a baby. He keeps walking, the kids bump into him in the neighborhood. That is a good
Then he
scene.
moves from the hammer to the knife
Yeah.
sometime during that scene.
Yeah.
I was worried that he was going to kill the baby, but I go, no, this is Halloween movie. They are not going to kill the baby.
Even though they do
But
kill dogs, Michael does kill dogs.
okay, well,
But
that's sad, but I'm not comparing it to human
I know,
baby.
no, I know, but
Just personally,
I'm just talking about cardinal sins.
I thought the dog thing was interesting because I know your generation in particular, is very anti that. And I was surprised that they did that, but that does happen still in movies today. Once in a while, when they really want to tug at people's heartstrings and anger,
Yeah.
they show a dead animal.
Yeah.
But I do remember that scene.
Mhm.
I've got to think about this a little bit. I did like I did like the scene early in the movie when Allison was sitting at the same seat in the classroom that Lori was sitting in
Yeah.
1978, and she looks out and she sees her grandmother, and
Yeah.
we don't know what their relationship is yet. We know that
Mhm.
Karen's relationship is not good, but we don't know. And then she goes out there and she's talking to her, and then Grandma Lori just says something to the effect of "F college, go to Mexico."
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that really blow people's minds? I,
Yeah.
I like that. But from a scary perspective, I do remember that um, the scene that he brought up of going from the house and you don't know what's really going to happen yet.
Mhm.
Um, and those are the best parts of horror movies, kind of, right? You
Mhm.
just don't know. You don't know what weapon he has now. Maybe he has this. Maybe he doesn't have this. Where's he heading? How many people is he going to kill? He's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, I know, that's because that's when he's really back, he's back in town, he's back stalking the world on Halloween night, so that's a really good one, but, of course, I also love the ending where, the three generations of women have trapped him in Laurie's house, and they're all
Right.
kind of beating up on him. I mean, come on, that's a pretty, special moment, and then, let's see, I haven't caught up on the chat in a little bit, let me just read through here. I think Ends was perhaps trying to show that both ends of the spectrum is dangerous. Ends Lori just decided she wasn't going to be bothered without processing it, and 2018 processed it but never healed. Oh,
Well
interesting.
said, Desi.
Interesting.
Well said.
Yeah, okay. Um,
I
and
have five
Ends.
and a half pages of 2018, so
Okay,
I didn't quite get a chance to reread it a couple of times.
that's okay. In Ends, she lost her daughter, but now she has the responsibility of taking care of her granddaughter. That can change a person.
I agree, John, 100%
Yeah.
on that.
That's true, but also, like, on the other hand, Allison also felt like she was taking care of her grandmother and didn't want her to, swing back again. Um,
Yeah,
so it also, on the other hand, Allison kind of felt like she was also taking care of her grandmother.
sure.
Um, let's see. Oh yeah, the whole theater stopped breathing when he walked by the baby because he just snapped the neck of the 12-year-old kid. That's
Yes.
true. That's so true.
Oh my.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember the first time that I saw 2018 and just yeah, I think everyone was holding their breath, I'm pretty sure.
I'm
Uh,
so bummed because I haven't seen any of these Halloween movies in a theater. And I'm bummed that I was hoping. In fact, I was at our nephew's birthday party this morning. He just turned 6, and we had a brunch right before this. And I was talking to my brother-in-law who likes movies,
Hmm.
and Kylie, he told me the original Exorcist is on at our local art house theater, and I
Wait.
haven't seen the original Exorcist movie.
Oh, in theaters?
It's in our art house theater we have here in this town that I live in.
Are you gonna see it? I'm sorry, I thought you were gonna keep talking. I was
No, no, I'm just
Oh.
telling you that, hey, I might get to go see it now because I just heard it's in our little art house theater here. And if I can work it in, I'm probably not going to today because I'm going to watch football and baseball the rest of the
Uh,
day. But I thought I was going to get to see The Exorcist in the regular theater.
mhm.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
No,
And I don't know. I feel like I didn't even see it listed on my theater's
no,
site.
I didn't either. But since it's at our little art house theater that gets
Yeah,
all kinds of different pictures,
yeah,
but I'm hopefully it's on this week, and I'm going to go see it. Even though I just saw it, but I want to go see it on the big screen.
yeah. You should if you can.
I'm going
Yeah,
to.
because I don't know if it's because they changed the release date of the new Exorcist. They pushed it up a week. If they just I don't know, didn't re-release the original, but anyway, back to 2018. Oh yeah,
Yep.
the babysitter scene with Vicky was so good but really sad. Also the bathroom scene with the podcasters was disgusting but good. Yeah. Those are good kill scenes, but I love Vicky. I love Vicky as a character, so that's always really sad for me. Um oh, hello Haley. Glad that you made it too. Um
Which
yeah,
one's Vicky?
Vicky was she was the girl that was the babysitter, Allison's friend.
Oh, right, right,
Yeah, they pay homage to the sheet scene in the original. Michael
yes.
covers her body with the sheet, and that's it's fun, but it's sad because I love Vicky as a character. I like Vicky and Dave. It's such a bummer.
I thought Vicky was going to last longer in this movie.
Yeah, she's I honestly as a character kind of prefer her to Allison, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Um,
How many shots of louvered closet doors are there in the Halloween franchise?
Several,
Yeah.
indeed, several indeed. I'm trying to think of the rest of the franchise, but it's
They
not
use
freshening in
it.
my
They
mind.
use it a lot. They use it
Yeah,
in every movie that I've seen so far.
yeah.
You know, going back to the originals Halloween with Laurie in that
Mhm.
closet with the louvered doors. So I was picking that up multiple times in this trilogy
Yeah,
where I'm thinking, oh, there's the louvered doors. Is the person in there behind the louvered
right.
doors of the closet?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll have to think. That'll we'll have to circle back on that once you see the rest of the franchise because I'm sure. But I think, we've already been live for almost an hour. I don't know how this time flies by, but we should probably move on to Halloween Kills. I'm feeling so impatient because I want to know your thoughts on Halloween Ends. That's going to be a big part of this discussion. So yeah, why don't we move on to Halloween Kills? And before we end, of course, you can go back over your notes and bring up anything that we missed. But yeah, your first experience with Halloween Kills. Your just start with I don't know general thoughts.
Well, I saw the extended cut, by the way. So
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the extended cut has an ending that's a little bit different
mhm.
that would have set up kind of a different story for Halloween Ends. So I wonder if that might have made a little less sense to you. But anyway, yeah, your thoughts on Halloween Kills?
Halloween Kills was my least favorite of the three of the trilogy.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I thought it was a little chaotic.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, I got a
Definitely.
little, I got a little tired of all the vigilanteism um,
Uh-huh.
in this movie.
Uh-huh.
It reminded me of some things I don't like about the world today, of
Yeah.
people just joining into a crowd inside a hospital and starting to push people down and knock them over, and want to have their cell phone to take pictures of bad things and things like that. So I
Mhm.
this movie to me was one of the things I wrote about it. It was just all over the place, kind of for me personally.
Okay.
I It didn't have as much of a specific direction. I could explain, let's just say, Halloween. It's about a guy getting out of a mental institute and chasing babysitters, and the main final girl lasts through the movie.
Mhm.
But he kills a lot of people. And then I look at Halloween 2018, and I think this is Laurie and what's happened to her and how she reacts to things and what's the next level of things. This
Mhm.
movie is flashbacks and all these different things going on, and then the town's all mad and they're all going to beat up on him and they're all going to kill him. And so I didn't enjoy it as much. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't like
Mhm.
it as much as the other two.
Okay, interesting, because for me, Halloween Kills is maybe my favorite of the entire
Yeah.
franchise. It's really I've been a passionate defender of that movie since it came out, and I was so shocked because I gave it such a positive review, and then at least half of the comments were saying how much they didn't like the movie and all of that. And yeah, so I mean, you're not alone. It's a pretty widely disliked film. I, however, love it though. I I mean, I just think that it's so fun how okay, to liken it to something that you enjoy about the John Wick franchise,
Uh-huh.
I love the world building of Halloween Kills. I love
Yeah.
that they bring back Tommy Doyle and Lindsay, and it's
And
the
Lonnie.
original and
Lonnie.
Lonnie. Yeah, yeah, they bring back, it's the original actress who actually played Lindsay in the original
Yeah.
movie. Um, they bring back the original Sheriff Brackett,
Yeah.
and with Frank, you get to see how Michael was initially captured that night. I think the flashback to 1978 was like remarkably well done. I felt very much placed back in the 70s. It really had the feeling of the original, and I thought that was well done. Um, yeah, I really liked building out the world, and one of the major complaints that I see that I don't know if it's an original thought for a lot of people or if they're just kind of parroting what other people have said, but a lot of people don't like the chanting in the movie, the evil dies tonight thing. And to that I just have to say that I just don't think that those people have ever been to like a protest or anything or have ever experienced any type of mob mentality. If you've ever been, because it at least okay, I have a few examples. In our town, there's a really, really vicious crosstown rivalry between the high schools.
Right.
So you go to a football game and it's a mob mentality. I mean, it just gets downright disrespectful. Or another example, like when the clown was elected in 2016, I went to a women's march and you chant some dumb stuff. One of the chants that we did was this pussy grabs back. So, like, so I
Oh,
can't,
that's right. I remember that. I
yeah.
think that's when I left the protest.
Oh, come on. Yeah, he's joking. Anyway, so,
No, I
oh
was
yeah, you
there.
were
I
there too.
was there that
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, you were there.
I
The
was a
whole
little
town came out.
uncomfortable with that.
Well, I mean, imagine how we feel. Imagine
No,
how
no,
tired we are, okay? But
I'm not saying it wasn't a great chant.
yeah, no, I know. But my point with that is just that when you're at a protest, when you're mad as hell, you're gonna say some dumb stuff. So I'm sorry, but I just cannot agree that the evil dies tonight thing is a dumb thing to say. I just can't because I'm like, you know what? That would probably happen. Like that would probably happen. I don't know. It just
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't know how you could blow that off having just the January 6th thing that happened. It's the crowd starts getting together, and I liked that part. The
yeah.
evil dies tonight. The evil dies tonight. The evil. I
Yeah.
mean, I like that. That was good. People are
Mhm.
going to just chant. They're not going to be silent. They
Yeah,
got to have
and
something that brings them together. It's like a football coach. He's bringing saying dumb things about the other team and getting them
yeah.
psyched up.
Yeah, and I mean, chanting does that. Why do you think I mean, cheerleaders, when they're leading a crowd, they have chants kinda like that. Um, "Dribble it, pass it, we want a basket." I mean, is that the most intelligent thing you've ever heard? No, but you chant things and it builds, and that's how mob mentality happens. So,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but no one's ever gonna convince me that that was a dumb part of the movie. You're just not gonna do it. Um Anyway, so I just went on a huge tangent. Did that change your perspective at all?
No, I didn't think it was dumb. I just didn't like it as much. I just kind of
Yeah.
got tired of what I believe could actually be happening. So don't get me wrong. And
Mhm.
maybe part of it was my political feelings about life in the last few years,
Mm,
but I just kind of Lonnie and Tommy, and then she forgives Cameron and Alyssa are back with it. I
mm,
mean, I don't know. It just, but it wasn't that I didn't think that it was realistic on a Halloween basis, and the fact that they ended up forcing the guy with mental issues that had escaped
mm,
to jump out the window is something that I believe could happen today more than ever. You know, people think, oh, well, think of the witches of Salem or some of the things that used to happen in the old days. Well, I'm telling you right now, especially with social media, it's no different today.
yeah. No, honestly, I mean, I mean, when a mob gets like that, there's got to be blood. There's gotta. I mean, there's no quenching it. They weren't going to be stopped, and I think it's a really good moment between Karen and Tommy when Tommy kind of realizes what he's
Yeah,
done, and they have that kind of silent
yeah.
exchange. But let's get into the chat because I'm a little
I like
behind
the
now.
playground scene, just by the way, because I can remember that.
Yes. Oh, the playground scene is so good.
Playground scene is
Ugh.
a great one.
Yeah, Lindsay's badass when she
Yeah,
swings the bricks at him, and
yeah.
yeah, it's a great scene. Um, your dad is so cool. I agree. I agree. Yeah, he's turning us all into monsters. And I like that that dialogue from Lori. She says this is Michael's masterpiece. And it's
Yes, I. That's one of the things I underlined.
yeah, it's cuz that kind of continues on into Halloween Ends how they sort of flesh out more so that Michael does have an influence on people and his evil is well maybe not as evil but well, I guess so. Is
It
contagious.
starts. It starts now. I did not see anything that came after the original Halloween until 2018. So I don't know what happened in there.
Mhm.
But Halloween Kills starts to just give you this little niggling things in your head if you're listening to the movie about a little bit of a different perspective of maybe Michael Myers than you've had
Mhm.
until that point.
Right. So yeah, we'll have to talk about Michael. I'm gonna finish catching up with the chat, but I do have an important Michael question for you on that note.
For any of
Um,
you that weren't here earlier, here's my
oh
new.
yeah. I know we've had like 100 people here for a
Yeah.
good while. Good crowd today.
Haunted
Um,
Hippie's mom bought that for me a few months ago, and I've had to wait to do this so I could actually wear it.
yeah. um, I know we don't talk about Halloween very often, so you haven't had a chance. Yeah, he saw the extended version of Halloween Kills. I do think it is the slightly better version. I agree because it's a better ending, and I think I saw Desi saying, cracks knuckles, Halloween Kills is a different ending because it was supposed to be a trilogy on the same night, and David Gordon Green is stupid. Yeah. I think because like the plan I mean, there was the pandemic, Halloween Kills got pushed. They ended up having a different idea. They went a totally different direction with Halloween Ends than they originally were going to. Because in your ending, the one you saw, Lori grabs the knife and she leaves the hospital like she's about to go and
Yeah.
take him down, and then they went a totally different direction. It was weird. Um, let's see. Yeah, see, like Kills is a car crash of a film. Um, I think we kind of already answered this question, David. I found it interesting seeing a different perspective of the original, talking about the flashback scenes. And Loomis came back, you know?
No, I liked that part of it, filling in
Mhm.
the blanks.
Yeah.
And I did like the final line of the movie by Laurie saying, I'm coming for you, Michael. And as I wrote, Laurie walking down hospital hallway
Mhm.
with big bloody knife like a superhero on the run.
Yeah. And that's, oh gosh. That's, if
I couldn't
only,
watch the other one, by the way. I just went on to watch Halloween Kills on the streaming service that I finally found them on. And it said this, you can't watch this right now. That happens every once in a while. So I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to figure this out, or
mm,
called Kylie. And but then I saw Halloween Kills long version, whatever it said, and I go, I
mhm.
probably won't get that. Then I get that, and I go, oh hey, I get to brag on that on the live stream.
Yeah.
I saw the extended version.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's good, but that one is a little bit more disjointed from ends, but it's fine. I mean, they're disjointed anyways. So I wish David Gordon Green combined the story of Halloween Ends with the body count and gore of Halloween Kills. I think it could have worked better. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that too, since my dad, if you don't know, he ended up really liking a few of the Evil Dead movies, including
Yeah.
the 2013 version. So the gore and all that craziness. I figured that you would have really liked that about Halloween Kills because it's, they deliver on the most kills I think of the entire franchise in that movie. A lot of gore
Well,
and
one of
whatnot.
the notes I made to myself about the movies was that Halloween was not gory, you know, by today's standards at all.
Mhm.
But then in this new trilogy, they started to pull out some pretty good gore that I could compare to some of the gore that I kind of have liked in the last year from some
Yeah.
of the other movies. So, I believe me, I did notice that.
Mhm.
There's no doubt I noticed that. And that was the one where oh oh the one of the things I really liked about Halloween Kills was Big John, Little John.
Yes! Yes! Oh, the
That
best.
whole thing, and then the most graphic kill that I've seen in a Halloween movie was what Big John looked like after he'd been taken to the cleaners by Michael
Yeah.
Myers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was, I know his was crazy. I mean, you wouldn't think
His eyes
that
popped out of his
yeah,
head.
his eyes popped out, but also I cringe every time getting stabbed in the armpit. I mean, we've
Yeah,
never seen that before, just
yeah.
right for some reason, that one really is intense to me. Um,
The kids, one more thing. The
uh,
kids that pulled the joke on Big John, Little John,
yeah,
awesome job.
yeah,
I fell for it just like Big John, Little John. I fell for
yeah.
it.
No, I know because I mean, but it's crazy. Kids today are really, I mean, they're getting more and more like vicious and more terrifying, honestly, because they have the internet. They're seeing a lot more than they should, way younger than they should. So it is kind of believable, but it's, that's terrifying. Children are they're kind of terrifying. Um, Let's see. I think the best of Michael's personality is reflected in Kills. If you can get around the movie, love the flashback. Yeah, in my opinion, it's the best version of Michael. I don't know how much you really thought about that, but I was just
Well,
like,
I learned the most about it.
okay, yeah,
I felt like I got him a little more and
hmm,
understood a little bit more.
sure, yeah.
I just got
Uh,
tired of the crowd.
mm, it was too like high energy, kind of.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
The crowd in the bar, they're all going nuts. Then the crowd goes to the hospital and they're all going nuts. And then at the end, the crowd at the end, and they're showing that they're just as vicious as Michael Myers, the way
mhm,
they're killing him. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking you
mhm,
guys are lowering yourselves to the level of a person like Michael Myers, the way you are just beating him,
yeah,
which look, I've never been in a situation like that. I mean, that's pure vengeance. And they
yeah,
say nothing good ever comes out of vengeance. I think
hmm,
we talked about this last weekend. Um, you know, it was interesting to watch the people doing that, the way they just bludgeoned him and cut him and shot him and all the stuff that they did to him, to me, lowering themselves to his level.
right, and I'll be honest, I did kinda get swept up in it because I've always thought, "Well, why doesn't a whole crowd just go after Michael? Why don't they ever take off his head? Why don't they?" So initially it was kinda satisfying, but I think that's a good reflection on your character if it was getting tiresome for you,
Well, I mean,
because
I feel embarrassed saying it, but I was actually feeling a little sorry for Michael Myers at that moment. I know.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, never mind.
Seeing what people are saying are normal people, moms and dads and grandmas and kids, and they're doing the same kind of stuff that Michael Myers does, that's scary.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think I would ever feel bad for Michael Myers, but, yeah, okay. So, which
Maybe I'm more like I'm gonna not say his name wrong again, but maybe I'm more
Sartain?
like Dr.
Sartain?
Yeah, Dr. Sartain.
Well, Sartain was a freak. He helped Michael
No,
escape.
no, he
He
was
was
a freak, and that was another incredible scene, with
oh,
Allison
yeah,
in the back of the cop car and he's in the
yeah.
front, and then he ends up trying to kill Frank. We think Frank is dead and all of that. That was a great scene.
Okay, so a
I
lot
didn't
of
see
people
that
actually
one. I didn't see that one coming. I never got bored in this movie, really.
mhm.
Just a little bit too much of Lonnie, Tommy, Allison, and Cameron.
Right. I think you're just you're a Lori fan, aren't you? You wanna
Plus,
yeah.
I just don't see high school kids being allowed to go with them to go find Michael Myers, and then two high school kids with no weapons, or they have one revolver,
Yeah.
going into the old Meyer house. That seems stupid. Sorry,
Yeah, no, it
but
was.
that's what the director told him to do, and that's part of movies like that. But
I know, right, and Lonnie's dad or Lonnie going in by himself. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
Lonnie going, and he turns around and gives the big thumbs up right before he goes through the front door,
it,
and you're going, "See you later, Lonnie."
it is frustrating. It is frustrating, I will say. Let's see. I'm a little behind on the chat, so I'm just gonna catch up a bit. I okay. Um, I understand mob mentality, but when it was released, a lot of that type of stuff wasn't happening. That's not true. That's not true at all. It was happening the most. I mean, at least here, like post 2020, that was still very much like COVID era. There was a lot of protesting and rioting happening in the country around that time. Which I think is also why it struck a chord. Yeah, Big John's death, it still makes me wince though. The eye and the underarm. I know. I didn't know I had an underarm thing until that scene. Right?
Well,
That's
I
what I would
like
think.
Big John, who's token on a big one, and then he takes his jewelry off, and I don't know if he took his shirt off, and he got all prepared to go up and kick some ass,
Yeah.
and then his eyeballs pop out.
I know. And it's so funny because he's shorter than Little John, but
I
once he
know,
takes
no,
off
I
his
know.
kimono and you go, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's why he's Big John."
yeah, right.
You know? And I got this knife. I got this knife.
Yeah, he has a cheese bread,
Yeah.
cheese like
A
a
charcuterie knife.
charcuterie knife.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about this? If Michael Myers was captured right away after the first movie and he was in an asylum for 40 years, there's no reason for the town to be afraid or make him an urban legend. Well, but he shook up this tiny town. He killed 5 people. I mean, we do that with serial killers in the real world, the Night Stalker, Jeffrey Dahmer, Zodiac killer, whatever, you know? That's how
Yeah, I kind of agree with that statement, though. It was 5 people, it was 40 years ago.
yeah,
I mean, I
okay.
can still see people talking about it every once in a while, particularly at Halloween.
Mhm.
But I, I mean, 40 years. That's a long time.
It's a lot. Well, and they do have there is that dialogue that I really, really like with Vicky and Dave and Allison where, Dave is kind of being insensitive, but he's saying, how has your grandma not gotten over it?
Yeah.
He only killed 5 people. I mean, by today's standards, that's not really that crazy, and it's kind of true. I think it's kind of a nod to the audience where, yeah, horror has gotten a lot more intense since the original 1978, which seems kind of tame in comparison to a lot of other horror today, right? Um,
Or just the regular daily news.
oh, yeah, that too. That too. Um, the mob has no reason to think Michael was so evil. He was around for one time in 78 and was just a tame killer. A tame killer. That feels like a little bit of an oxymoron to me. Um, yeah, they don't know about Halloween 2 through 8. Yeah, it's not connected to the rest of the franchise and seems unnecessary. They could have just ended things there with kills. That's kind of how I feel, because I would personally take the last 20 minutes of Halloween Ends and just tack that onto kills and do away with the rest of it. But we're not quite on to Halloween Ends yet. Lonnie's the worst father in cinematic history, takes his
Yeah,
son, his
he
girlfriend
is.
to the exact location of the killer to be killed. Father of the year. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Talking about. Oh, yeah, I like how Sartain just did that with no real explanation other than Michael is cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like a I mean, it was a plot twist. It was a whole, psychologists are crazier than their,
Yeah.
patients kind of a thing. Yeah, a lot that part of the movie loses a lot of people. They don't like the whole Sartain twist, but you were a fan of that, huh?
Well, I am because I have been to more than two and less than five psychiatrists in my life, and I still see a psychiatrist once a year.
Mhm.
They're pretty weird. That's my
Okay.
statement, and I'm not
Uh,
kidding. I'm not even being facetious. They're pretty weird.
care to elaborate a little bit?
I don't know. It just I don't know any personally, but the ones that I went to, um, they were kind of weird, including the one I have now, who I love and has helped me a lot in the last 15 years. But he's a weird dude.
Okay, to be yeah, because I've only seen one in my life, and she was pretty pleasant, you know? She was so I can't really speak to that,
A
to be honest.
psychiatrist.
Yeah, yeah, a psychiatrist for, like, prescribing
Yeah,
whatever, you
yeah.
know? Um, yeah, but, I guess I've only seen the one therapist my whole life too, so I don't have enough
But that's
experience to
not
speak on it.
comparable. Psychiatrists
I know, and s yeah,
are
but
doctors that go to school just to study
I
that.
I'm just saying in terms of, brain people that I've personally
I
seen.
could, I could, I can see them just being so obsessed with trying to find out why somebody is so homicidal or so weird or so
Mhm,
whatever to
yeah.
have it overtake them. So that to me was not something in the film that I thought was unrealistic.
Yeah, so okay, going along with that, then maybe we can kind of compare some of the older characters to the new characters. How do you feel between Sartain and Loomis? Because Sartain is kind of the new Loomis, but with a
I
twist.
know, but I love Dr. Loomis, so
Okay,
I
okay.
was sorry that he wasn't back for 2018.
Yeah, I know. He passed away back in 96, I think, or 95, so he hasn't been with us for a long time.
I like the psychiatrist that was. I like the fact that a psychiatrist trying to find his terrible patient was carrying a handgun and wasn't afraid to use it.
Yeah. He also like I can kind of not 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 that I could sympathize with Sartain, but I can to the extent that if I were caring for Michael Myers as long as he
Yeah,
was a student of Dr. Loomis, picked up where he left off, had been seeing him for God knows how long, who had never uttered a single word. And Loomis was the only one who cared for Michael that got to see Michael kind of out in the wild and
yeah,
doing his thing. Sartain only ever saw him in confinement, not uttering a single word. I can see that that's incredibly frustrating that in all that time, they never learned anything about Michael because he was just silent, just the whole so I could see how that could drive a mental health professional a little bit batty. I I guess I could just I don't know. That
yeah.
part
I
of the
mean,
movie.
some scientists that have been studying things forever, and then they get what is considered a small break, and in that
Mhm,
case, that's what this is.
mhm.
It's a small break, and we've watched enough movies and read things and seen shows of how obsessed a person could become, and I felt like Dr. Sertain was that obsessed.
Mhm. This is, I think this is a kind of a good point to that though. The Sartain thing would have worked better if they didn't kill him off so quickly. It made the twist
Yeah,
so underwhelming. He
yeah,
has a good kill scene though. He gets his head smushed
he
and
does.
like I mean his chunky brain bits come
Yeah,
out
yeah,
like, you know.
that was gory.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Loomis, he not to spoil things, but you do get to see a wackier side of Loomis as the sequels go on. And maybe, next year maybe we can focus on the first like the original timeline of the franchise, which
Yeah,
is Halloween through Halloween 6. And then maybe the year after that we do Halloween Resurrection and Halloween H2O, whatever, because there's a bunch of different timelines. I didn't want to overwhelm you.
how many movies are in the franchise?
13. And the timeline is absolutely nuts. I have hold on. my visual aid. I actually have it right here. So I'm just going to show you the franchise really quickly and why I decided not to overwhelm you with it right now.
After 10 Saw movies, I still haven't recovered from that. I needed a break.
And Halloween is much, well, no, it's messier. It's messier. Yeah, it's definitely, there's more to keep track of. Okay, so I pulled this out with Scott also, and I used this to explain because we watched this timeline. So this is the timeline we're talking about today, which is a direct sequel to the original, right?
Yeah, I see.
So
Yeah.
you've also seen the original sequel here.
Right.
This sequel also branches off into 2 other timelines here.
Oh,
So
geez. It's
yeah,
like
so I was
Star
talking.
Wars.
It's what?
This is like Star Wars.
Yeah, but worse almost. Yeah, so there's this timeline, there's the remakes, there's Halloween 3 that's luckily its own thing that's not attached to anything else. It's just kind of in the same universe. So yeah, so I didn't want to overwhelm you with all of this quite yet.
No.
You're getting a lot better, and we were able to do the entire Saw franchise. So maybe you'll be able to tackle all this next year. I don't know, but maybe we'll just focus on the sibling timelines. So it's just a lot.
Three's the one that Will Meister said was good, right?
Which one? 3?
3, isn't that what Will Meister said earlier?
I can't remember. I don't know if I caught that comment.
Thought he did.
But yeah, Unhinged Loomis is fun to watch in Halloween 4. Yeah, Loomis is in 4, 5, and 6. So he keeps coming back. Oh yeah, Halloween Night is a fan film. Actually, that would be a good one to watch. Did by bringing in Loomis's grandson. I wish they would have done this here. Yeah, that would have been good. It's a really good fan film. I do recommend that one too. Okay, so I think have we gotten through enough of Halloween Kills? I don't know. I'm just really excited to get on to Halloween Ends.
Yep.
Oh, George, yeah, I did that a little bit impromptu. Can we get a Kylie explaining the timeline to Matinator video? Yeah. Right, yeah, it's a choose your own adventure franchise. Exactly.
I'm going to move for a second and open the windows a little more. It's getting darker and darker outside, and I notice I'm getting darker and darker.
Yeah, no worries. I'll catch up with the chat a little bit. I think I missed a bunch of chats, so I'm going to move back up here. Let's see. Dr. Loomis is one of the characters in the franchise that makes the Thorn movies watchable for me. Danielle Harris is great. Yeah, okay, well, my dad hasn't seen these, so we'll probably have to move on from that one. Violence in Halloween Trilogy is too squishy for me, but unrealistic and lessens the disturbing nature of the kill scenes. See, I just think it makes it fun. I think that's kind of a wink at the camera. I don't mind that. Yeah, go ahead and turn his brain into tofu. That's fun. That's fun to me. Oh, hello. How do you do? I do well. How do you do? Yeah, Dad, do you think you're ready to move on to Halloween Ends?
Sure.
Okay, I'm very curious on your thoughts. I'm gonna just kind of let you take it away here.
So what I decided for a simple explanation of Halloween Ends was that it led you to and ended with an opportunity for the Halloween franchise to go in a little different direction, possibly without Michael Myers.
Yes, I would say so. Although, I mean, that's going to be the end of the timeline. I really don't think they're going to be picking it up there because Jamie Lee Curtis has done, I don't think they're going to bring
I know, but Allison's the new final girl as she drives out of Haddonfield.
Right, but I don't think they're going to bring her back. That's what I'm saying. I just don't see them picking up where David Gordon Green left off,
Yeah, I don't know. That's just for me when I looked at them, that's kind of what I got out of it. And obviously the biggest part of this movie is Corey and Mike Myers and the symbiotic relationship that they develop.
So
I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm just curious. I mean, you said that Halloween Kills was your least favorite of the trilogy. So did you enjoy Halloween Ends? I mean, what's your feelings, just your general feelings on the movie,
I thought bringing in Corey mixed things up enough for me to give a different angle to the franchise.
That
So
you welcomed that, like a different angle? You were into that?
I did welcome that.
Okay, interesting. I have seen because even more people dislike Halloween Ends than
Oh,
Halloween Kills.
I figured that I would go completely. As you know, I don't know anything about what anybody says about any of these movies. So
Right.
I figured, that I probably was one of the only people that got a kick out of Halloween Ends.
Okay, interesting. So you're one of the defenders. I know that there's just a couple of people in this chat that are super happy about this right now.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so actually somebody mentioned that the other day. I can't remember. I think I was on a stream by myself, but someone mentioned that they were glad that Halloween Ends wasn't just sort of a rinse and repeat of 2018 and Kills because those were pretty similar in atmosphere. Michael going
yep,
crazy, killing everybody in both
right.
movies. So they welcomed kind of the change in tone because they didn't just want the same thing over and over again, which I'd never considered that. Um, it's just that I felt like I was sold. It's all going to take place on one night. It's all this grand, super hyper violent, high energy to kind of thing. So I was very disappointed by Halloween Ends. But it seems like you kind of share the sentiment with that other person I was just mentioning. You welcomed
I
the
did.
change in tone.
I was kind of getting tired of a lot of the same old thing. That's kind of how I feel about this franchise
Mhm.
compared to Scream, where you're trying to figure out who the killer is every time, and compared to Saw, where you're trying to figure out the traps and the
Mhm.
whodunits. And I mean, this one is the theme to me about Halloween is nobody can kill Michael Myers, even if they think that they have. That's
Mhm.
it. And
Yeah.
so to me, I liked a little spice in this one.
Mhm.
Corey, you think he's cool at the beginning and you feel sorry for him. And so for me, the story made it more interesting than just Michael Myers continuing to kill as many people as he possibly could.
Okay, interesting. All right. Let's see if I'm caught up with the chat here. Let's see what people think of that. Halloween Ends is the Halloween that I like despite hating the idea. Oh. I think if it weren't called Halloween Ends, it would have been a great dark love story. Yeah, I try my hardest to like the movie because I think it's a really cool concept. I like that because it was a concept that was sort of introduced earlier in the franchise in a movie that you haven't seen yet. But the fact that Michael's influence can spread, he can kind of
Oh,
infect people.
okay.
So I really like that concept, but just I think a lot of the world is kind of in agreement that it just was not a good note to end on for this particular trilogy just because of the like crazy change in tone all of a sudden introducing Corey as a character.
Yeah.
But I do agree, like it's a cool concept. And I try so hard to like the movie. I was really hoping that because this time around I knew what was coming, that I would hopefully not be as disappointed, that I would like it more. And it's just too hard for me. I just do not like Halloween Ends. Um, yeah, introducing Corey in the third film kind of proves to me the trilogy should have been a mini series. I guess, but like my dad was saying, I just don't know that Halloween could work as a TV show with Michael because I just think the concept is a little too simplistic. Unless they go with the concept of Halloween Ends, where multiple people get infected or whatever. Um, let's see. Oh, thank you, Desi. Ends is my favorite in the trilogy. Yeah, see, I knew.
All
I feel
right.
like yeah, I feel like if they had stuck with the original planned trilogy and then used ends, and then used the ends we got as a place to move the franchise forward with the lore, it would be liked more. Yeah, so they stuck with the original and then used the ends we got as a place to move the franchise forward with the lore. Like if the concept of ends was introduced earlier on,
I think
I
she's
guess.
saying that if it was more like normal, this wasn't a normal one, so to speak. It wasn't what you guys were looking for. That if
Yeah.
it had ended more with the more regular lore, with maybe some of this in it, and that was the end of the kills. I don't know. I think that's kind of
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so oh no, I understand now. I understand now. Like if it so if it was not just contained as a trilogy, if they did the original plan trilogy and then they did Halloween Ends as a way to keep the franchise
Right.
pushing, instead of having it as the end cap to this trilogy where it doesn't really fit in,
Yeah.
instead of using it to propel the franchise forward. I get it. Sorry, that took me a minute. I don't know why my reading comprehension just was
Yeah.
not working for a second. Yeah, Corey and Allison's relationship was messy. They just met each other. Corey's role would have worked better for Cameron. Yeah, had they had him survive the middle movie, we at least knew him from the get go. That's true. And Cameron also was a very morally ambiguous character. He was not a
Yes.
good boyfriend.
Yes.
You know, um,
As a dad, I'm going, Allison, I don't care how bad things are going around town right now. Do not take that boy back.
yeah, right. I know. Let's see. I know a lot of people were disappointed Ends was not in the same night. I understand Matt's perspective on Ends. Yeah, but maybe walk us through some of your notes because I want to know more
Yeah.
of your thoughts on the movie. What stood out to you and whatnot.
I thought the beginning of the movie, the opening
Oh,
scene,
yeah.
where they throw the title page up,
Mhm.
uh, threw me for a loop. Um,
I think it's a very strong opening.
yeah,
It's
I think I wrote that the opening was strong.
mhm,
Um, it took you through a host of emotions,
mhm,
and then the title page came up, and then they start to flash back to movies, and Laurie's doing the voiceover while she's doing her what she's actually writing a book.
mhm.
So that can be cathartic. Writing a book,
Yeah.
people therapists will tell you to keep notebooks and just write things. So she's
Mhm,
finally writing about all the things that had happened to her. So you're hearing Lori in first person while she's writing the book, which I thought was interesting. It wasn't Halloween yet. It opened up 4 days before Halloween, if I
mhm.
remember correctly. Um, I thought the junkyard was a good part of the movie. It was used well in several
Mhm.
different sequences. I hated the group of four punks.
Yeah,
Um,
the band kids.
right. I love that Lori had mellowed out so much, but the complete edge was still not off when she
Mhm.
handed the knife to him so they could puncture the tire.
Yeah.
So she still has an edge, so there's no pun intended,
Mhm,
but she's still working on having a regular life, and
mhm.
the forlorn Allison with her job and no good love life, the scumbag cop that's still chasing her. This story was kind of interesting to me, and I was trying to figure out Corey and what's going on with him and where he's going, and I just liked all of it. When
Yeah.
he got pushed over the side of the bridge, which was by accident, but when he got pushed over the side of the bridge, I'm thinking to myself, is he dead or is he like Michael Myers? I'm just wondering to myself because I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up and I'm going, kind of like Michael Myers. That's interesting. And so then it starts to take on the theme that it does.
Mhm.
And I found it interesting because you were never really quite sure until very late in the movie where he really was and what
Yeah.
was happening to him. So it made me wonder a lot in this movie, where in
It
the other movies, I don't wonder a lot. I just know that there's
yeah.
going to be a lot of killing.
I
Not that
think
there,
it sounds to me like you were more engaged is kind of what you're saying.
yeah, I
You're more
was
engaged by the
engaged.
movie. Yeah.
The scumbag doctor who brings the newly promoted young
Mhm.
woman home. There's just a lot of different things going on. I didn't like her. I didn't like the doctor. So they
Mhm.
got what they deserved, in my opinion. Bringing the radio station into play, the things that the guy in the radio station, Billy the Kid, I think his name
Yeah.
was saying over the radio.
Mhm.
Being a sensationalist, like so many things that happen in the world today. They're using an old school radio station because you couldn't really do it nearly as powerfully by
Mhm.
using social media. So you use our social media of my time, which
Yeah.
was radio stations that people would call into and ask for songs for their girlfriends, big crazy
Yeah.
statements. So there are just a lot of interesting bits and pieces of the movie instead of just Michael killing.
Yeah, I think also, this is giving me a different perspective on it because I hadn't really considered this too much, but it's an interesting extension of Halloween Kills where instead of a mob creating a monster, it's how a town can do the same thing, but through more subtle
Yeah.
means by spreading misinformation, by kicking a person when they're down, by treating someone as a pariah, rather than approaching with love and kindness and compassion, and
I
how
thought it was making a statement
yeah,
about so much of what happens in our culture, including social media.
sure,
That these people were mistreating him, like all the things I hear people do on social media. I mean, I just a football game that my team lost last weekend because the kid missed a field goal at the end. A 20-year-old kid missed a field goal, and I was watching this week's game, and they were talking about that. He had to turn off all his social media, and he was getting
yeah,
death threats, and I mean, over a college football game. So I thought this movie was making a statement about society.
yeah,
Um,
sure,
and I thought that was an interesting way to do it. And I
mhm,
liked some of the tools, including an old school radio station, which I relate to very much because, as I've said before, I used to work in radio, and you just couldn't do it that way with social media. And so I thought that was valuable and
mhm,
interesting. I was just interested in the movie. I thought it was
mhm.
interesting. Maybe it would be better for me to say it was an interesting standalone movie for me.
That's a lot of people do agree on that. A lot of people do. And I think it's hard for me. I'm not far removed enough from, the release of 2018 and Halloween Kills and
Right,
sort of
sure,
my expectations. I don't think I'm far enough removed to be
sure.
able to actually enjoy Halloween Ends because I also don't know that I would ever actually watch it as a standalone. I'd probably always watch Halloween 2018 and Kills first. And then yeah, I don't know. I really hope I can eventually change my mind because I love 2018. I love Kills. I wanna love Ends, and there's so much about it that I appreciate. I think everything we're talking about and all the subtext of the movie and the character study of Corey and Allison, because it's also about how
Oh
even
yeah.
she, as a survivor of something, can get swept up into some of this darkness because of her environment and, how, one of her she's up for this promotion, but then one of her coworkers sleeps with the boss, so she gets it, and she's just frustrated with life and how even the best of us can kind of succumb to these kind of things.
I also thought that it was interesting of Lori after all this time of trying to walk this line
Mhm.
um, in her life to protect, but to try to be a good grandmother.
Mhm.
So she had that going, and also, pun intended, frankly, I love the relationship. Although they did such a nice job of just little bits in the grocery
Yeah.
store and little bits at the end
Yeah.
of Frank and Lori, oh, it just got me. They're my
I
age.
know.
And I guess I loved the whole thing, and I loved the way the movie ended with Allison going past the sign that she's leaving Haddonfield. And I loved the way that Frank left the basket for Lori. Lori
Mhm.
comes out, she's still got an edge, but in the end, they're sitting next to each other talking about cherry blossoms. Call me a sucker.
No, I know. It's emotional. It's emotional. I think it's really sweet that just for a moment, they might be all right,
And
you
they
know?
just touch it. That's what's so nowadays, so much in movies, we just shove stuff in people's faces,
Yeah.
language and body parts. And this was just this little crush kind of that is established
Mhm.
in the last movie when they're both in the hospital room that they happen
Right.
to be sharing together. But and that was just kind of for me anyway, just a little light touch that, hey, the worst thing in life could happen to you, and it doesn't mean the rest of your life has to be ruined. And
Yeah,
I
Frank
truly
is
believe that, and hope that never happens to me, anything that's that horrific, like my friend I mentioned earlier, but that life can still go on. And the movie gave me hope at the end, kind of, after all the bad things that had
Mhm.
happened, that Alyssa could have a good life, that Frank could have a good life, and Lori could have a good life, even after all of the terrible things that had happened,
Mhm.
that they could get past it and they didn't have to be vengeful vigilantes.
Right, yeah. I mean, Frank is learning guitar, he's learning Japanese, he's getting
Yeah,
a new lease on life. It's really sweet, yeah. Um, let's see. Everything that they did with Corin Ends would have gone over better if they'd introduced him in 2018. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Yeah, right. Okay. So that's what Desi was saying. If they made the original three, then we got a fourth one with the concept used in ends. Okay, good. So we got it. Oh, Matt enjoyed ends. I knew he had good taste. Ends defender here too. Um, well, I don't know about this. This trilogy was supposed to be based on Michael being human, not supernatural. Ends throws that out the window. I feel like I disagree with that. I feel like Kills is the one that really establishes him as the boogeyman. Because I mean, the whole mob goes after him. He gets beaten to a pulp, stabbed, shot multiple times, and then all of that energy and fear only makes him stronger, and he takes out the entire crowd.
it's out the entire crowd.
So, oh, that was the question I wanted to ask you, Dad, about Michael earlier. I know we talked about this last year, about your thoughts on Michael, supernatural human, boogeyman, pure evil, kind of, I asked you where you fell on that kind of debate. So I can't quite remember what you said back then, but now having seen the new trilogy, within this trilogy, what are your thoughts on Michael as an entity? How do you view him? You
I
know what I
don't
mean?
know. I thought a lot about that. I just started
Boogeyman,
pouring rain
man,
here.
because obviously there's something supernatural going on, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean, you can't say that he doesn't have some supernatural thing. You know,
mhm.
people could label it demon, whatever you want to call it. But there is something. Obviously, the whole franchise is based on a guy that can't be killed. That to me,
Mhm.
that's you asked me what it was about. It's about a guy that wears a mask and can't be killed no matter what you do to him.
Mhm.
Um, to me, the the last movie ends that so many people don't like. To me, brought a new aspect of him
Mhm.
because he actually kind of takes on an assistant, so to speak, an apprentice,
Yes.
an
Yes.
apprentice in Corey. Um, and he doesn't, which one was it? He doesn't try to kill Allison. There was a scene in one of the last two movies where he did show something because he didn't even try to kill either Lori or Allison.
Oh, when Lori is watching Corey taking Allison upstairs, they're going upstairs, they're gonna hook up, whatever. Lori is
Yeah.
standing outside the house, and Michael is standing
Michael's
behind a
behind her.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's behind a tree looking at her. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it was if in the end of the film they gave him a little bit more of well, the guy's also just completely mentally disturbed. um,
I don't know. To me, I I've usually fallen on the end of the spectrum that Michael is the boogeyman. There's a reason why he can kind of pop up in and out of
yeah,
places at his leisure. Especially like in the original film and then also in Halloween Kills, at the very end he pops up and kills Karen, and it's like, how did he even
yeah,
get in the
right,
house? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um so yeah, I've always felt more of a supernatural element to Michael. Dr. Loomis's whole thing was always he's pure evil. You look into his eyes and he's pure evil. I never really got that sense from Michael. I think that that's a less frightening way to kind of explain that away. To me, Michael is he's he's just empty. He like you don't know why he does what he does. I don't think it's evil. It's just you don't know. And that's so frightening. And he's playful. He likes to set up these sculptures of his victims and he's curious, you know? He like I think it was Jordan Peele that was quoted talking about the scene in the original where he pins the boyfriend to the wall and then he just kind of tilts his head. You're
Yeah.
just kind of looking at him. He's just kind of curious. He's, you know, um yeah, I never got and maybe this is sacrilegious to say, but I just never got on board with Loomis thinking that he's pure evil. I think he's just this unexplainable kind of entity. And the new trilogy made me feel like we give him the power. He's only as powerful as we make him, I guess, which was kind of solidified by Ends, where Laurie is saying, "You're just a man who's about to stop breathing,"
Yeah.
basically. Because,
Yeah.
you know, with the mob, I mean, he got shot a bajillion times, but their fear and their anger and everything only kind of powered him up more.
Yeah.
And Laurie kind of sort of finally took the power back for herself. So I don't know. I think it's complicated. I don't even know how to answer that question,
Well,
honestly.
in Kills, Tommy workshops spitballs it that where's he always trying to go? He's always trying to go home, and then the
Hmm.
whole mob takes off
Yeah.
to the Myers house in Halloween Kills, right? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think somebody else said something almost at the same time while they were shooting the scenes of the movies. Like somebody thought of it at a moment, or they went back, and then Tommy starts to realize it at the same time. So the mob goes, and I'm thinking, that's right. Here's a 6-year-old kid who kills his sister. We have no idea why.
Hmm.
Um, and gets put into a mental institute immediately. From what they're telling you at least is
Hmm.
that the 6-year-old's just thrown into a mental institute the rest of his life and never talks. And then he finally gets out. He doesn't know anything. He was 6 years
Yeah.
old when this happened, and he doesn't even know what to do. The last thing that he did was stab a knife to somebody. So now he's trying to find his way home and then stabbing people with knives. So there's a lot of different
Yeah.
ways you could look at this, I guess.
Yeah, I just yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. It's a really difficult question to answer. I guess I'm curious. I'll see if anybody in the chat has a defense for the pure evil thing because I just I've never really felt that. I've never gotten on board with Dr. Loomis's ramblings about that. You know, let's see. Oh, I've heard of people comparing Michael in Halloween Ends to being like Stephen King's Christine, and how his influence on Corey is like Christine. Oh, and the
No,
nerdy kid already becoming cool after meeting. I don't know if there's a part two of your comment. Um, let's see. I don't see one.
he's
But
typing. No problem.
yeah, you've seen Christine, Dad, right? Did you end
Yes.
up seeing it in theaters too this year, or
No, I
okay?
missed the one night window. It was about a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched it together, I think last year when I was covering John Carpenter, did that deep dive. But
Yeah.
yeah, Arnie becomes obsessed with his car and Christine's influence on it seeps into him. Um, let's see. Oh, I think
One of my favorite Stephen Kings, by the way.
yeah. I think having Michael be in his 60s or 70s in the timeline makes the team up between him and Corey a lot more believable because of his weakened state after the events of Kills. Sure, sure. Let's see. The cop who was way too old in one of the Mulaney's, which means he was either the father of one of the kids in Kills playing pranks, or he was as old as Lonnie. And ew, wait. Oh, wait. The cop.
Yeah, I mean
I don't.
Mulaney's hitting on Allison. I have some
Yeah.
real problems with that.
Well, yeah, it's explained a little bit more in the book, which
Yeah.
I'll go over in my video on Halloween Day. That video is coming out. That Allison was obviously in a really, really bad place after the events of 2018. So she ended up just dating somebody that was, she felt was good for her, was a protector, and was a police officer, but ultimately, too old and was kind of taking advantage of her vulnerable
Yeah.
situation. So yeah, he's weird. He's too old. Let's see. Oh, here we go. I think this was the continuation. Corey could have been a great villain, but when he kills himself in the end, the idea felt wasted for me. It was interesting seeing how his death mirrored the kid's death in the beginning, that when the person killed is found, the person blamed for the killing didn't do it. Oh, true.
Oh,
I didn't even put that together. Laurie
that's a
didn't
good
kill
one,
Allison,
Ryan.
Laurie didn't kill Corey, but Allison finds her with a knife. Yeah, doesn't really get resolved though in the end. Yeah, see that part does bug me. It makes me feel like Corey was kind of a waste because you think that the mantle is being passed or something, and Corey's gonna be the new Michael, and then it just ends up being Michael versus Laurie all over again. Um,
How about Corey's mom?
Corey's Corey's mom, yeah. That anytime she was on screen, that was a tough watch.
I know.
Just I mean, yeah, further servicing that it's like nurture
Nature,
over
nurture,
nature. Yeah.
nature, nurture. That one's a nurture, and she was not a nurturer.
No. So yeah, that 100% contributed to his, falling into Michael's hands. Um yeah, I know. Tried so hard to like it but couldn't, make so many baffling decisions. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know if it's too many disjointed parts or something. I'm hoping one day I'm gonna like it because there's so much about it that I do appreciate that we've talked about today. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting if it was flipped, if Laurie versus Michael was in the beginning and then Corey happens after. Oh, but we don't know it's Corey until the end.
No.
Hmm. Yeah, there's so many what ifs. Yeah, it's eh. Anyway. Um, let's see.
How did the podcaster get Michael Myers masked, by the way?
Yeah, I I guess because they're technically investigative
Ah,
journalists.
yeah.
So they were I mean, did they even
Michael
explain
Myers
that?
mask should be in an evidence locker. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I think it might have been in the original script and maybe a cut scene or something that they had bribed a police officer or something. I don't know. I don't remember because they had a bunch of evidence with them. They had the Dr. Loomis tapes. They had all of that.
Oh,
So
they did have that. You're right.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see.
So, is there another Halloween movie on the books?
Well, so Miramax just won the bidding war for the rights for the movies and the TV rights as well. So we don't know how the franchise is going to move forward
Uh,
yet, but there was just a whole bidding war and the rights have been, shipped off. So
and so Miramax was the scumbag Weinstein brothers, right?
that was they were Dimension Films, which I forget which is a branch of the other, but yeah,
But they're
essentially
owned by
same company.
Universal now, I think, is what.
Yeah. Yeah. No follow up there.
No, I just asked
Okay.
a question.
Okay. I think the pure evil goes with the sibling storyline. Okay. Goes after an 8 to 9-year-old girl intending on killing her and even hurting a boy the same age. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Even then, though, because Dad, you've seen the second movie where they establish that Laurie and Michael are siblings, which they don't do in the new trilogy. I don't
Oh,
know. How does that
oh,
kind
I
of?
forgot all about that.
Oh shoot, that would have been a good surprise on your rewatch. My bad.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Shoot. Sorry. Maybe you'll forget about that again by next year when we rewatch the
Wow, that
franchise.
makes a lot more sense now in the trilogy and in
No, no,
2000.
no. They're not siblings in the trilogy. That's a different timeline. Remember?
Oh.
Here. Okay. So direct sequel trilogy ignores all of this. The original sequel, this is where they establish brother sister. So they're brother and
I
sister
vaguely
here.
remember that. I need to rewatch that. I do kind of
Yeah.
remember now that they were siblings.
Yeah, but that's not part of this trilogy. Ignore that.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. See, this is good to have. It's good to have this handy.
It is.
Yeah. You're 50-50 on the pure evil thing. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find if people had any other thoughts on the Michael being evil thing because I'm just curious how people feel about that. Yeah, the whole trilogy seemed to be trying to do too many things at once. All the things they would introduce, like Sartain putting on the mask, then he's killed 2 seconds later. Yeah, a lot of it, I mean, yeah, a lot of it's just a bit disjointed, but I'm trying to think, Dad, if you've seen, well, okay, yeah, the original Star Wars trilogy, the Back to the Future trilogy, as
Yeah.
a trilogy, how successful do you think it was? How do you enjoy it as a trilogy?
Well, I enjoyed it, but not as much as the original.
The original Halloween, yeah. So, yeah, so you're ranking those, what, it's the original 2018 ends kills, right?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Um,
I have an idea for an upcoming movie
uh-huh,
combining franchises,
uh-huh.
The Exorcist and Halloween, and they do an exorcism on Michael Myers.
Oh my God, that would piss some people off.
I
Because what would come out of Michael? I mean,
don't know.
he
I
doesn't
don't know.
speak, so yeah, that'd be kind of fun though. I'd watch that. I'd
I
watch
would
that.
watch it.
Um, they yeah, no, well, no, they got the TV rights, but they already co-owned the rights to the films,
Yeah.
so they can make a movie. They could have made a movie if they wanted to, anyways. So now they have both. The whole Michael. Oh, here we go. The whole Michael being evil is perpetuated by Loomis the whole time. So it could just be that Loomis is crazy, being with Michael all those years. Very esoteric. And the novel version of, oh, second comment has not come through yet. I'll wait just a minute. Typing.
Ryan always has some good comments.
I know, very insightful. Um, let's see. Maybe somebody else has a thought though. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Wait, what was it? It's very esoteric. The novel version of the original film has parts talking about a Halloween cult. Oh, so the idea of a spirit from hell overtaking Michael and making him hateful is giving into evil. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
That's a lot. I really want to read the original novel, but it's so hard to find a copy of it because I wanted to make that part of my content for this year. But you can find copies online for like $300 because they
Wow.
don't print it anymore. So I can't get my hands on the original novelization. It's a bummer. That's interesting. Michael is purely and simply evil. He's nobody's brother, uncle, uncle's father. Yeah, he just doesn't care about a motive. That's what makes him the boogeyman. Right, but I guess my point though with that is that if he doesn't care, if he doesn't have a motive, how could you call him evil then? Because to me, being evil, I mean that means there's a motive. The motive is evil. It's the motive is to inflict pain. I don't know. And it just seems to me that Michael just takes down anybody in his path. It just seems thoughtless, in my opinion. I don't know.
That does seem to be the case for him.
Yeah. So yeah, David Gordon Green had so many ideas. Instead of cutting them down to make the trilogy more focused, he threw all the ideas in. Seems to be doing the same thing with the Exorcist trilogy. Well, not anymore. Yeah, I mean, like the Exorcist Believer had a lot going on. We just did our spoiler discussion
Yeah.
of that, and it was just. I was never a fan of Loomis's evil theory either. It gives me fundamentalist religion vibes. Sure. Um, let's see.
Well, I was listening to something recently about Marvel and all the issues Marvel's having, and that
Mhm.
they might even try to get some of the people back, even though they supposedly died. So maybe if they do a new Avengers movie, Michael could be one of the Avengers because he's unkillable, and that could be his
Yeah,
special skill. He's unkillable.
it would
He's
be sort
obviously
of
really
like,
fast too, because like you mentioned, when Karen was standing looking out the window from the bedroom,
mhm.
last time we'd seen Michael, he was down the street behind the tree, and then all of a sudden he's right behind her. So he's super fast and he can't be killed, so he could be an Avenger.
Yeah, true. Super speed, can't be
Yeah,
killed. Yeah, you have a point there. I would, and people have talked about that actually, sort of um, a, yeah. I mean, I guess an Avengers level event where they bring together all the slasher villains and stuff could be super fun.
oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, like a horror villain multiverse of madness or something, if you
Wow.
will, which I would watch. Of course, I would watch.
I'd watch
Um,
it too. I don't know if it'd be any good, but I'd watch it.
right? Because they did Freddy versus Jason, which you haven't seen those franchises yet. They did that.
Wow.
Wasn't great.
I
Wasn't
don't
great.
think so.
Which, oh my gosh, my boyfriend actually found me a shirt from 2003, a promotional shirt of Freddy vs. Jason. It's so weird. It's a plain T-shirt, but it has Freddy vs. Jason on the sleeve. And it's actually from 2003. But anyways, that was random.
Freddy versus
Go,
Jason. Wow.
yeah. Anyway, I guess okay. Evil doesn't need a motive. Lots of ancient evils have no real motives. I guess I don't know. I guess I just disagree. Cuz I to me evil comes with intent in my opinion. Evil has the intent to spread, to do harm, and I just don't think that I just don't think that that's the case with Michael because he lies dormant for 40 years in the institution, right? I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't know. I don't know. Um, so evil doesn't need a motive. If anything, the motive is just he enjoys the killing. I always took the boogeyman comment to mean no matter what you do, you can't kill Michael. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. You make points. Oh, well, why don't we ask him? Do you think your dad will enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street franchise more or Friday the 13th? What do you think, Dad? You've seen
I don't know. I've thought about those because I watched all three of those in the early days of
this sort of
Haunted
series.
Hippie.
Yeah.
And I have to go back and watch them now from scratch.
Of the original big three, my dad did enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street the most.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to end up probably being his favorite, I think, because
I think it was that and Halloween and Friday the 13th.
Yeah. I believe
that's what I said at the time, but I really do need to go back and rewatch it with fresh eyes.
Yeah, which we will. I think that's part of the fun of this too is I always thought that it'd be kind of one and done. My dad would react to these classics and then we'd move on, but now it's fun because you've seen them and now we can actually also watch the whole franchise. My dad can, keep up talk about the whole franchise. We can do rankings. And also his thoughts change a lot on rewatches, especially with The Exorcist, so you're the gift that keeps on giving, Dad.
Yeah, well, I think any of us that are interested in these kind of things that rewatch something, which I've done a couple of times in the last 3 weeks, in a movie theater, I've rewatched things.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get bored either time. I thought, well, I might get bored because I just saw this 3 days ago or something. I mentioned this last weekend, but now that I'm looking for things in films, looking for different meanings, looking for things that I like specifically. So with each watch, it becomes more interesting and can completely change your prerogative.
Good.
That's the right word, actually, but change your opinion.
Perspective.
Perspective, or
perspective, yeah. This is true. Matt would enjoy Nightmare way more. Friday is all about teen sex. Yeah, it tends to digress in that way. I believe Loomis may have wanted to believe he was pure evil simply because he couldn't reach him and therefore failed as his therapist. He needed a reason for failing. Oh, psychoanalyzing Loomis a little more than Michael. That might be the way to go. Let's see.
Another interesting thing about this was similar to what we talked about with the original Exorcist and the new one. Mm-hmm. So the original Halloween opening scene, topless young woman, gets killed, naked. Uh-huh. They don't really do that in the new trilogy very much.
I don't think they do that at all.
That's what I mean.
Vicky and Dave didn't even get the chance.
Interesting. Another film from the 70s.
Yeah.
And then in the more politically correct days of today, at least from a big studio perspective.
Well, I know. I mean, we talked about this last time. Remember with The Exorcist, things are much more sanitized these days.
That's what I mean. This is another perfect example of that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how much more liberal some things are and how much more conservative other things are. I mean, you hardly really see nudity now, which is just, I don't know. It's weird because I think it can be tastefully done, but it's, most people it's kind of shied away from. Another thing is Michael always does his killing on Halloween day, night, weekend. So his presence is always connected to the dark, unholy holiday. So any kind of Halloween antics, like summoning spirits with Ouija boards or conjuring up demons, is an esoteric explanation for why Michael kills on Halloween and how it puts the fear of God into a whole community. That's true. Halloween is, yeah, it's a famously dark holiday.
If I lived in Haddonfield, I would have quit celebrating Halloween and just stayed inside and streamed something on Amazon.
You're right. Oh, Matt, I have to agree with you. My psychiatrist was weird as hell.
See,
Guess that's true. Let's see. I see we have someone who still thinks that Michael is still just a man. Freddy's a demon. I guess I don't know, man. I feel like we've kind of beat that horse to death today. Do we have any more notes? Not just from Halloween Ends, but because I know you didn't have a chance to really go over all your notes. Is there anything we missed, Dad?
no, I think we've covered. I mean, I would have had a few more lines pulled out, which is what I was going to do, of just good lines or funny lines. But I
Yeah.
think we've covered the trilogy pretty well here.
Yeah. So out of let's see, what franchises have I shown you the entirety of? Surely not only Saw. Oh, Scream.
Evil
Okay,
Dead.
so now you've seen you've seen this whole timeline of Halloween. So you've seen more of the franchise. How does
Yeah.
it stack up to I have a feeling I already think that you enjoyed Saw and
Scream,
Scream
Saw,
more.
and Evil Dead. I like all three of them more than I do Halloween.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Evil Dead even more than well, Evil Dead has Army of Darkness and yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, interesting. So you're not as big on the strong silent killer slashers then. You like a little more flavor then, I take it.
I still feel like Halloween, like it originally was intended to be, is for a younger audience.
Yeah, I think.
That's just my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's why in 1978 they threw the naked girl in at the beginning of the movie. They didn't need to do that, but they did it. They're
yeah.
really doing that for teenage boys.
Well, I think at that time, because unwittingly and not even trying to, John Carpenter kind of started that whole phase where that's what Friday the 13th leaned into
I know,
in order to titillate, you know,
I
to
know.
get a younger crowd in. John Carpenter, I think it really was more so just for the shock value because movies hadn't really done that up until that point. So I honestly don't think that that was John Carpenter's intention. But in later movies of the franchise or Friday the 13th, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that just was meant to make the whole scene seem that much more horrifying, you know? The
Yeah.
fact that she was in this most vulnerable state. That's my opinion anyway, but um were you I'm sorry, did I interrupt you?
No,
Oh, okay. Good.
no, you're
Um
just asking about the different franchises, and
yeah, how you stack them up and whatnot.
yeah,
Yeah. So I think, but on the other hand, too, a lot of people argue why Halloween is one of the greatest is because of its simplicity. You know,
yeah, I absolutely get that.
mhm.
When you're
But
just asking what I like,
yeah, a
not
little more
saying.
flavor.
Remember, I'm not saying what I think is better.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know.
I'm just talking. Whenever I'm talking with you, I'm pretty much talking to you guys about what I like, not
Yeah.
that I think that I know I'm no expert. And frankly, nobody's really an expert. It really comes down to what do you like as a person. But yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not saying Halloween is not a good movie franchise. I'm just saying, as far as movies that I liked and got more out of for different reasons, a lot of it's probably because now the gore that I missed out my whole life, now I'm catching up on the gore.
Yeah. True. True. Which is, you know, why I'm a little surprised that Halloween Kills was your least favorite because it's definitely the goriest, definitely has the most kills and all that. So I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised by that. But yeah, I think oh yeah, good point. So has your dad seen the Final Destination franchise? You mentioned previously it's one of your favorites. I That's one of the next ones I want to show my dad. That is that's a fun franchise that I think you could compare to Scream in that there is a renewed interest in each movie because the concept is so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably going to be one of the next ones that I show my dad. If you guys are enjoying this little series that we're doing, spoiler chat with Matt, then definitely stay tuned for that. I don't think that we're going to be meeting with you guys next Sunday because I'm in a major crunch time right now as far as my Halloween content goes. So you might not see me on a live until this month is over. I'll try to join you guys for a watch along maybe this upcoming week. But I'm going to be pretty busy because I'm just going to be trying to bust out content for you guys. So my dad will probably be back in November. Although, if you want to join the Patreon, you will see him again much sooner because we are going to talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas over there. We're going to do a little review. But thank you guys so much for.
Which I just
Oh,
want to tell people in case it happens to be in your theater,
mhm,
it was in my theater this week on the big screen, my first chance ever to see it on the big screen, and I
thank you.
enjoyed it very much.
Oh, good. Yay. Because last time he wasn't super into it. So yeah, we both got to see it in theaters. I hope you guys can do that this weekend. It's its 30th anniversary. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys for being so engaged in the chat today. Lots of fun debates we've had today, and I was very surprised at my dad's feelings on especially Halloween Ends. I hope maybe you guys were too. But yeah, keep an eye out for us in November for my dad to come back. But until then, we will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Have a